Okay, so I think it's time to get started. We're really excited for today's webinar. So welcome everyone to our webinar on the future of retail. I'm Yael Kochman, the CMO of Bywith. I'm really excited to be the host of today's webinar. In the next 45 minutes or so, we're going to be exploring cutting edge technologies that are not only reshaping the online shopping experience, but also helping brands and retailers maximize engagement and increase conversion by 10x or higher. I know it sounds unreal, but you'll hear today from our speakers on some examples of how this is happening. As we all know, the online shopping experience hasn't changed much in the past decade since it started. But with the entrance of immersive commerce technologies such as live stream commerce and artificial intelligence are becoming and augmented reality as well, that are becoming more and more mainstream. Brands are finding it easier to connect to audiences such as Gen Z, and actually to everyone else who's looking for that human connection. So in today's rapidly evolving digital age, retailers are constantly seeking for innovative ways to captivate consumers and to elevate the shopping experience. We will today delve into these groundbreaking technologies and see how we can revolutionize the retail industry and reshape our consumer behaviors to transform the way people shop and to propel businesses towards a new era of success. With me today are three great speakers: Adi Ronen, co-founder and CEO of Bywith; Eran Galil, co-founder and CEO of Beyond XR; and David Chon, Director of Growth at Hawk Media. And before we start the panel discussion, I'll let each speaker introduce themselves. Adi, let's start with you.
Hi, everyone. I'm Adi, CEO and co-founder of Bywith. We're a live shopping platform. It means that we enable any brand or retailer to host live shopping event directly and embedded on their e-commerce site. We're working with many brands worldwide in the fashion, beauty, and in other industries. And I'm happy to host all of you here today together with my friends here. And I hope that you enjoy this webinar. Thank you.
Thanks, Adi. Eran?
Hi, everyone. So my name is Eran. I'm a software guy, geek, 30 years in the industry. Founded Beyond in 2016, and I'm acting as a CTO. Basically, Beyond, in a nutshell, we're a software as a service company. We built a platform that lets brands and retailers and wholesalers to really create engaging 3D experiences for commerce with types of media, games, socials, avatars, and much, much more. A very dynamic environment, works in multiple verticals and brands, working with the biggest companies out there, doing some very cool stuff.
And last but not least, David.
Thanks, Yael. Hey guys, I am the Director of Growth at Hawk Media. I've been with the company for 8 years. I was formerly the Senior Director of Content for the first 5 years at Hawk. Hawk Media is your outsourced CMO. We are a full-service digital consultancy that works with direct-to-consumer brands and B2B brands. We've been around for 9 years, have about 260 full-time employees, and we operate on a unique model with flexible contracts and a la carte services. So we don't do any long-term contracts. We win your business back through our performance. And although we are a full-service digital consultancy, you can start off with 1 or 2 services and scale from there. So you can really pick and choose how you want to work with us.
Amazing. So just a few housekeeping rules. So as you can see, this is kind of an open discussion. Everyone is participating. I will be asking the questions, but if anyone in the audience has a question, we'd love to make it more interactive. So feel free to write your questions in the chat and we'll kind of leave them for the end for Q&A. Or if you have a really burning question, feel free to unmute yourself and come up and ask it. So now for the first question, and I'd like to ask you, David, what's wrong with e-commerce today, right? Because we all know that brands or retailers are spending a fortune for driving traffic to their website. Average consumer acquisition cost reaching as high as $50, even $150 in some cases, only to see that 98% of visitors won't even buy anything. What's wrong and how can we fix it?
I don't think there's anything necessarily wrong with e-commerce. Customer acquisition costs can vary dramatically based on the industry, the business model, seasonality, average order value, and some other aspects. I'd actually even say that a 2% conversion rate wouldn't be too bad if it's 98% of people aren't buying. But obviously the goal is to lower CAC, but that metric alone, like return on ad spend, is a bit too short-sighted. You'll want to focus more on lifetime value of the client. So if it costs $100 to acquire a new customer for a monthly subscription box that's priced at $100 and you have your margin at 50%, and the average subscription is, let's say, 6 months, I'd say that you're doing a pretty great job. With that said, brands can't rely on paid acquisition efforts alone. Since algorithms can change and CPMs can increase, maybe during the holidays, it just goes insane, so you can't even bid on it. There needs to be a full funnel marketing strategy in place that includes organic efforts as well.
I completely agree. And how do you guys see, I mean, obviously you guys are working with a lot of clients. How do you see clients really leveraging technology to revamp the online experience?
Sure. So we're a digital marketing consultancy. We have our own Hawk AI tool as well. But in terms of partnering with different tech partners, for example, like BioWith, we can go ahead and partner with them to really include them and fold them into our marketing strategy. So for example, when you think about all the different technology that's available, you have AR and VR that's transforming like how people are shopping, right? It allows users to experience products before purchasing. You have machine learning and AI that's really giving a more personal touch. It's giving brands more data so that they can go ahead and personalize that experience and in return to get sales. So that's how we see brands really utilizing it as the outsourced CMO for our clients. We have a pretty big partner network where we can go ahead and really include all of them in our arsenal when we create that strategy for our clients.
So you touched augmented reality. So we'll switch to Eran. Beyond XR is obviously building a new type of e-commerce experience that is based on AR. So can you share a little bit more about that and how it works? And also, how fast is customer adoption, both on the brand side and the consumer side?
So just to emphasize, first, AR from our perspective is one of the things that we build. It's a 3D, eventually 3D e-commerce. AR is one of the features, is one of the ways that you can actually present it to the user. It's just it's a big feature, but it's just a feature. Eventually, the way we see it is we see more and more adoption because end consumers and actually our clients, they want a better experience. They want not just a catalog buying, the direct-to-consumer websites. There's a total mess of competition. Everybody's competing for attention with the Amazons of the world, but with even the retailers. The brands are fighting the retailers. Everybody's fighting for attention, and a regular site just doesn't cut it anymore. And the experience is king. So they're trying to do all they can do to get more eyeballs, not just attention, but also actually real engagement and real people getting in and to spend more time at their sites. So there's see more and more of that, people understanding that there is no point in releasing a regular site anymore. It's actually the base, but let's add new things to it because it's a must.
But how are consumers responding to that? I mean, even if a brand, let's say, creates a new type of experience, obviously it takes time to, to change people's habits and to...
Yeah, so it's consumers are very well reacting. Of course, it depends sometimes on geography or on the age. Younger are responding better to that, and there's all those researchers that show about Gen Z and the alpha, and this for them experience is king. And this is one of the good things for brands that they give sometimes the traditional brands, they give them new crowds that would never have gone to their websites, giving new ways to get new crowds and to make a younger crowd, which is what they all want. So from that perspective, they're ranking very good. Of course, it's something that the traditional older generation is less relevant for them. They are used to something very specific, but more and more as the new blood is entering to the commerce cycle, there gets a lot of excitement with that.
So Adi, let's switch to you and talk about live stream commerce for a second. Obviously, that's a very hot trend, but is it just a trend, or is that basically the new way to shop online?
Yeah, it's a great question. So we started to do live commerce more than 3 years ago, when it was very early in the Western world. We actually did a pivot from a different solution that we had, and we ended up doing live shopping without understanding there is a trend in China called live shopping. And then we realized that we are one of the companies that are bringing this trend here. So, back then it was very early, and it was, some brands and retailers started to explore it. And what we see right now, that a lot of companies that actually waited to see what's going to happen with live commerce in the West, now we're doing that because their competitors are already doing that, and they a bit left behind, and now they need, to catch up. And the way we see it with the
That's always the thing about retail. Nobody wants to be the first, but once somebody starts doing something, everyone follows.
Yeah, exactly. And I think that it took some time, but also in China, it took some time. They started at like 2009. And and I know that the CoreSite recently published a forecast that seems like that this year is going to end better than the forecast they had before for live commerce. So I think it's not just a trend, and basically it's a strategy. It should be part of your marketing strategy as an organization, and you should combine it there with some other budgets that you have as a channel of conversion, monetization, user acquisition, engagement. So it gives you a lot of benefits as a company.
And can you talk maybe a little bit about the differences of the way the trend evolved in the West versus how it evolved in China?
Yeah, so we as a company see the opportunity for us in the rest of the world that is not China. And the reason for that is because we believe that it is what it is. There are some cultural differences, and we built our solution that would fit the Western world culture. So specifically in China, you could see all day live shopping events. We try to focus our event in specific hours of the day. They're the most attractive and people would be available. This is one example. Even like the day of the live is important, the hour of the live is important. And also we see that the type of host are different. So we really try to copy what's working in China. It could fit the Western world and do other adjustments. For instance, what we saw that works really well is to create like a FOMO and a social proof experience. So for instance, if we have a coupon code, there is like a countdown to create a FOMO experience. We encourage our clients to give some special discounts in the live. We saw that it works in China, it works well in the West. So yeah, we're trying to copy some stuff, but some stuff we change and adjust them to this culture, to ours.
So as we said, we want to talk about the future of retail. How do you see, and this is a question for everyone on the panel today, how do you see different technologies? Like, for example, if we take what BeyondXR is doing with virtual stores or virtual immersive experiences and live commerce, like how can those technologies be combined into kind of one coherent experience, or even, other types of technologies?
I'll say that from our perspective, when we're building, for example, a store, and it's an immersive experience, meaning that it tries to imitate some of the things that you can do in real life, but in a different way. So part of the things that you can do there is get a show from an influencer, and see the product better. So one of our collaboration, for example, with Vibe is that kind of a thing. You can actually get someone else to talk about it, or sometimes we can even get an influencer or a celebrity to even talk about it, like you're doing gaming, that takes you through the experience and takes you through that. It's a more interesting kind of walkthrough, but guided walkthrough by someone which is known. And in general, I think that's what those experience, everything which creates a more visual representation. We know that the more visual the product is and the environment, the better the psychological connection to the brand is. So the more time you're there, the more you see the product, the more you see around it, the more gets exposed to it, the better the connection is. And this is, by the way, AR is something that you see actually the product next to you in your own environment. It creates even a stronger connection, a stronger bond in that sense. So all of those things are strengthening the connection to the brand and to the products. And that's something that's eventually working in the attribution.
Yeah, I also agree with Iran. Really, with what Beyond XR and by what they're doing is they're really just derivative forms of content marketing. Consumers value the content that's going to be useful or relevant and entertaining. So the more tailored it is, the better it's going to perform. These technologies are giving customers the ability to really interact with these brands in different ways, depending on whatever their needs are. And personalized marketing shows customers that the brand is really going the extra mile to know who their customer is. So I think that's very helpful to really engage a brand and let them know that, hey, you're there for them. We're not just going ahead and reaching out to the masses with all of our marketing efforts. We're personalizing it specifically for that one individual.
So basically, the idea is for brands to kind of pick their own tech stack and kind of see how to combine it to create an experience that caters to their specific audience.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and I would add to that, I relate to what Eran said about Beyond XR and Byway. Both are bringing the real life store experience to the e-commerce. This is actually the reason why we started Byway. And I think that eventually, when you bring this experience, you create something that is more social, something that you can really, touch the product and, see them on e-commerce. And we definitely see the combination between the companies. Now we're launching a one-to-one solution with like a sales associate or a customer service on top of the e-commerce side. And I definitely can imagine this also on the virtual store. And I think that, yes, eventually as a brand or a retailer, if you're going to be a pioneer in this, ecosystem, and you will use some innovative solution and even combine them together, you could give your audience something very special, something very unique. And I think that eventually, like I think David said, the relationship between you and your audience will get stronger. And this is a game changer, and this is what increases the conversion eventually, this relationship.
Can you guys share case studies and examples of some of your clients that are and kind of the results that they're seeing? What are they doing that actually works? Adi, do you want to start?
So not necessarily using too much technology, but in terms of personalization, obviously there's always personalized emails where you can go and segment your audience according to what their behavior or purchase cycle or interests are. We can do product recommendations as well. I know there's a lot of different technology partners out there that you can actually go ahead and have a pop-up. So it's a quiz. So let's say it's a brand that has over 100 different SKUs. No one wants to navigate through all of that, even if you have different categories. But if you can go ahead and put in a quiz to really personalize what it is that person wants based on whatever questions you can ask them, that that'll help you with more conversions as well, and also make it much more easier and convenient for a customer to go ahead and purchase something that will be useful to them.
Do you want to go next?
I can, so yeah, thank you.
Okay. You said you can or you can't?
I can, but whatever you prefer.
Go ahead.
Okay, so yeah, we have a lot of different case studies from different verticals. So we're doing sessions in fashion, beauty, but also in home decor and electronics and gadgets and luxury. And we see amazing results. And I can tell you one thing: if you're a brand that consider to do live shopping, so sometimes we see great results from the first session. Sometimes, like other marketing channels, and David here can agree with me, you need to do optimization to the channel. To marketing channels, you need to do optimizations. And we see that brands that really invest a month or two, not a year, in the optimization of live commerce to their audience really can generate amazing results. So we can achieve between 10 to 41% conversion rate. Our average is more than 15%. So it's very, very high in e-commerce. And I think that, as long as you understand that live commerce is going to be is the future of commerce, and you need to be there, you could take advantage a lot of its benefit. So this is about conversion. And about engagement, we have between 50 to 70% engagement rate. So we see that people are really engaged with the session. One of the reasons is the authentic recommendations they get during the live. So usually our live are with creators. We also have a community of content creators. So you take one of our hosts. Maybe we should use them. So basically, we have a community. You could take one of our hosts or bring your own host. It could be a creator, it could be an expert, it could be someone from your brand. And then this person can give a really authentic recommendations. And people appreciate authenticity, I think, these days. And if you sell something too much, they feel it. And I think that this is one of the advantages of live commerce, and that's why they're very engaged also with the session. Yeah, so I think conversion, engagement, average order value that we see that is higher, and also because you have this experience of the real life store, you have this someone that's answering to some questions you have, giving you some tips, giving you even more information about the product that you want to buy. And that brings me to less returns. So recently we saw only 3% returns in huge fund that we have. And this is a game changer on e-commerce. We know that it's around 30% in average. So it's a lot of money that goes to waste a lot of time. So yeah, this
money. Think about the time and the efforts that retailers are investing in. Obviously, the reverse logistics of returns and the influence on our planet Earth. So
exactly,
reducing returns is an added value.
Yeah.
Eran, if you can maybe share a specific example of one of your customers, of why do you think they are successful at what they're doing?
Right. So first, in general, I can say that in many of the stores that we've done, of course, we see a lot of very good engagement, and of course, sometimes 200, 300% more than regular website engagement in that sense. It's both in involvement and clicks. When people are competitive, when you're putting challenges in front of them, they start to compete. They want to win things. One of our big beauty brands has shown us like 200 to 300% of better lead generation. So they want to, you don't just want people to register for them, for getting, for example, even a free sample. Think of it very simple, getting a free sample from a beauty manufacturer. If you win the beauty, if you win it and you need to register for that, actually people are registering and doing it more. Because again, people are competitive, they want to feel that they win something. So we use that for them or against them, no matter how you want to look at it. And eventually people are registering 200 to 300% more in the lead generation. We've seen, for example, we've done with a big CPG, and CPG are regular, sometimes even boring think of shampoos or think of like cleaning products or really regular products, but
Some people would disagree with you around the
okay, yes,
shampoos,
right,
boring.
okay, right, okay. Sorry. I'm not talking even about the luxury brand. I'm talking about the simple brand, the dandruff kind. But think about it that you have when you can have it as a, for example, we have a CPG brand that did it as a virtual home environment that you can actually do discovery. So you see all the products that this CPG brand had in the home environment, and it actually helps the discovery. So you're wandering around the house, you want to discover more, you're engaging more, so engagement time goes very high. And also the click rate and the amount of visiting the actual products and being able to, okay, the add to cart ratio and eventually the buying ratio gets higher because of that additional fact of the discovery method, and not just that I'm going category by category by a regular text filter. So the method is changing, more gamified, more exploratory, and we see some very good results. Of course, it's not automatic and not always. Not every supermarket buying you want to do and to start to wander around in supermarkets. Usually, you want to do is like a very regular catalog shopping. But in more and more verticals and more crowds, we see there is also, it's not replacing it, there's also the need for a new type of discovery, a new type of engagement.
Okay, so we talked about success. Let's talk about the challenges for a second, because if this was easy, we would be seeing those type of experiences in every e-commerce website that we're shopping on, and we're not yet there. What are some of the challenges that you see that retailers are facing when it comes to implementing those new type of technologies?
I can say on our side, sometimes content is one of the blockers. When you're talking about 3D content, it's one of the blockers. It's evolving. The whole 3D ecosystem is evolving. It's a completely different phase than it was 5 years ago. When we started, but there's much more, and of course, generative AI area also helps a lot in the terms of the content creation. But when you're working at so content creation, and what the term called by brand, you want to create something by brand, so it has to be very precise and serve the message of the brand and the colors and all the different things that the brand means. In that sense, there is a process for that, and it's still rather sometimes with friction. So in that sense, that's one of the challenges for the brands to create. But once they overcome it, and it's there, they start to realize the value. And of course, there's additional ROI from the content creation, which is not just for regular e-commerce.
But would you say the challenge is more on the tech side or the product side, or is the challenge more organizational? Obviously people are used to doing things a certain way, and then moving them to doing something in a new way might take more time.
Okay, so I was referring to actually for the client side, but of course the end consumers, there's always the challenge of adopting new
I'm
things.
talking about the client side, obviously.
So
the
the client
organizations are built, is that something that is making it difficult for innovation?
I think it's mainly from the content, sometimes technology in terms of integration. Okay, like integration is always something fun to do. But it's part of the thing. Part of the thing that we do is how to integrate to the actual user journey so it will be seamless and not like siloed on the side. So that's part of the challenge, especially with bigger organizations. But once you do that and you integrate to the user journey, to the right user journey, then the road is way easier. But that's one of the friction points, of course.
Adi, David, do you see similar things, or?
Yeah, well, when it comes to marketing, go ahead, Adi.
Thank you. So, as we see it in terms of the friction around the retailers and brands in the live commerce space. So a lot of times they're afraid that the integration would be very complicated, because most of the companies actually need to integrate with the catalog of the website. We specifically have a different method of implementation. It's very easy, and we try to reduce this friction. Another place that is sometimes can bring some difficulties for them would be that you need to promote the live session. So there is like a promotion side of it, and you need sometimes they could do like paid media with Hawk Media. Sometimes they could do different stuff like send a newsletter or put a banner on the website. And we try to help. So we developed like a banner that can pop up on the website when there is a live session, or invite people to join or to sign up to a future session, or to put like a VOD where people can sign up and watch past sessions. So I think that like we really try to decrease this friction in live shopping around our customers, or even the fact that you could take a creator from our community without needing to like scout for the host by yourself. So I think there are some challenges, but our vision is really to try and make your life easier.
David, I think you also wanted to add something here.
Yeah, in regards to marketing, while it's fun to always be innovative and try new things, chasing that shiny object can be rather dangerous, because realistically, there's no benefit to being the first mover unless you can get a ton of press or have some insider knowledge to give you an edge. You're really better off waiting. There's so many kinks in these platforms that it's typically not a benefit in marketing to being the first mover. That's why Audie had mentioned before that even though China was adopting it, you didn't see the Western countries adopting it, because they wanted to sit and wait to see how it performs. Hey, like let's let the other brands go ahead and do this, and let's see how we can kind of one up their strategy. When you think about social networking, it wasn't Facebook or MySpace, it was Friendster. And then with search, it wasn't Google, it was Alta Vista. So there's a lot of different things. For example, like TikTok is an interesting opportunity, and a lot of brands, I mean, we're putting all of our clients on it for paid social, but the attribution is horrible. You don't know if it's actually coming from TikTok or from somewhere else. So we have to do post-purchase surveys to realize that it's actually coming from TikTok. I would say as a general rule, about 10 to 20% of your marketing budget should be spent on new channels and strategies, because whatever current strategy you have right now, it'll lose efficacy over time. So market's always moving and changing, and you need to really constantly adapt and try out new things. For example, like live shopping will be a great way to get in front of your audience. Let's say your conversion rate is really decreasing and your CPMs are increasing over the board. And you're like, hey man, what can I do to really almost rebrand what we're doing with our strategy? And live shopping is a great way for that, or creating a VR realm where people or customers can interact with your brand on in a different way than what they've been doing is a really great way to really change up your strategies.
Great. So I think we're gonna open the session for questions from the audience. We do have one last question, but we'll leave it for the end if we have time. And I see that we do have some questions here in the chat. So for Iran, there is a question. You said Gen Z needs experiences, but a lot of research shows that they actually want real products, experiences that work. How do you emphasize that e-commerce and product efficacy actually works and isn't just a fun experience?
Good question. First of all, we see when we try to slice the crowds, we see relatively to what's existed before or the regular website, we see those younger crowds there participating, and we see them participating more. I think one of the things that we see on them is that they have a more tendency and more openness to experiment and to try, and are not afraid of to try new things or to do things in a different way than 20 years how the e-commerce has been done. So we do see that in that sense, and you need to remember this. A lot of it soared as others soared a lot through COVID. Okay, and then in a period where people started to get educated, used to the fact that they cannot see the products in a physical way. So part of the thing that happened is a very rapid education that you can actually do things remotely. Now, it's not that now that COVID is behind us or always is that everybody came back to the same situation, but the market was educated and the consumer was educated to know and understand that they can really experience things remotely and enjoy it and get a lot of the buying experience. Again, it's a different buying experience, but can get a lot of that also in a virtual manner. So it's really accelerated in that sense, the way that they are willing to experience that remotely.
Great. And David, a question for you. So obviously personalization is important, but now every company is doing that. Consumers are, probably getting used to it, being less sensitive to it. For example, product suggestions that are based on my previous history, they kind of narrow the selection to those specific products and don't expose consumers to other assortments. So any suggestions to promote discovery, multi-SKU brands?
Yeah, I don't think you're pigeonholing yourself when you go and make those product recommendations. So we're not, when we go ahead and when we partner with some tech partners for this, we're not going ahead and using 5 data points and making product recommendations, and that's what you're going to get for the rest of your life. There's so many data points, and we're constantly aggregating that data. So from looking at the pages that you're viewing, whatever zero-party data that you can provide to us, we can go ahead and make recommendations. And based on what you're clicking through and landing on those pages, we can actually go and track that. We can see what you're adding to your cart. And based off of that, we can go ahead and make recommendations. Keep in mind that personalization, while sure, you can go ahead and send out a abandoned cart email to someone and then plug in whatever product that they had in their cart. You can go well beyond that. You can do kind of almost a cohort analysis to really see like who are the people that hasn't visited the website in 30 days or 60 days or 90 days. You can see based on like what interest they have. So there's a lot of different points that we'll take a look at in order to make those recommendations. And we're really just making it much more convenient to them. So it's just constantly there's a lot more data points than you would think.
It's all about data.
Mm-hmm.
You talked about the cultural differences between China and the West world, but do you also see differences between different geos like America versus Europe versus Middle East?
Yes, it's a great question because I have an interesting answer to it. We had a lot of successful sessions in different locations, and we had also unsuccessful sessions in these locations, right? Because eventually, what makes a live shopping event successful is much more than the geolocation. So it's more about selecting the right host, it's more about the right promotion, it's more about the brand offering. And I think that eventually, if you fit those stuff to your audience in the best way, you'll have a good live shopping event. We really saw all around amazing results. And we try to give some like guidelines around it. Because at the beginning, we give just the technology to our clients and like deal with it like a B2B company. Here is the platform. And then we realize that because live commerce is new in the Western world, we need to give also our like know-how to our clients and educate them on how to succeed in this new trend. And so I think it's not about geolocation, it's about doing it right.
So I think we have time for one last question. So we kept kind of the visionary question to the end, but because we're kind of short on time, so if everyone can answer in like 1 or 2 sentences, how do you think we're all going to be shopping 5 years from now? How will the role of physical stores and websites is about to change by then? David, maybe you want to go first.
Sure. I think there's going to be a heavy emphasis on the omni-channel sales approach, where customers will have a seamless shopping experience, whether they're in store, online, an app on the phone, or even using voice to shop. I haven't used it yet, but I have like the Amazon Alexa behind my TV. They gave it to me for free. So I have it plugged in. So I'm always thinking about ordering something. I never do because I don't really trust it that it's going to pick the right thing for me. But I think there's going to be a lot of different ways that we can go out and purchase. I don't think it's going to be all our eggs into one basket with one approach. It's just going to be all across the board.
Eran?
Yes, I think it's going to be very interesting. It is still interesting, but it's going to be more. It's getting interesting all the time. I think so. We like to call it the new omnichannel, because if omnichannel used to be like physical and digital, e-commerce and physical, we're seeing more and more channels. There's the social channels, there's the metaverse channel, there's many metaverses channels, and there's the immersive part of the website channels. And there's digital also, where you're getting your AR in the duplicate of the world. So there's more and more channels where brands and retailers will see the users, and we're starting to see that they're all starting to combine. So it'll be much more natural. It'll be much more natural to start something in physical and continue to digital, or vice versa, or to buy something in one area and then for example, you're buying something to wear in one metaverse, and then you're taking it to another different virtual environment, or even to your gaming environment, because you have a unified avatars and those kind of things. So everything will become more interchangeable, and the user journey is today, which is very fragmented or siloed, we get more and more connected. That's what I think.
Adi?
Yes, I would add to that if we look back 5 years, I think that e-commerce became much more like fast and easy and friendly. And I think that 5 years from now, it will be even more easy, more fast, more entertaining. So the experience would get more and more friendly to use and interesting to use. This is my opinion, because we see the trend at the beginning, like e-commerce was flat, I would say, and as we go, it became more and more like something that is immersive. This is the topic of this webinar, so definitely.
Well, I'm waiting for the day when the products I want will magically appear in my house, in my closet. But that's a topic for a different webinar. So thank you to all of our speakers today, David, Eran, and Adi. It was great chatting with you, and thank you for everyone who joined us today, and just continue innovating. Bye.